Hello, so yesterday I shared with you with some kind of astral kind of experience that I had yesterday, and when I read the comment from my friend on that video this morning, it reminded me one experience. Also, that was definitely astral, that I was not questioning like if it was physical or anything, but it was very strong experience that I had that I wanted to share. Well, also when I was thinking about like telling you this in my mind before I started video, I remembered so much other stuff that I was like, yeah, I probably will go so off tangent or something, but yeah, it just reminded me that yeah, there are many other very interesting experiences that I had and encounters, let's say. Um, but yeah, so this one that I wanted to share was kind of like my first, how to call it? Yeah, first lucid dream astral projection experience with the extraterrestrials in that realm where I was sleeping. And yeah, it was like at the time I thought it was like a first time, but later when I started to connect with the Shayla and someone, I realized that even like a tons of my dreams way before that were some kind of connection also with her and with other beings, let's say. And but this one was very special for me, and I would like to also start with reminding you of Comet Ison, if you remember. Um, it was a comet that yeah, was supposed to be like maybe a Christmas comet of 2013, and so it was a very special comet that was, I think, flew into our solar system from Orion or something. I think it was Orion or something like that, and so it was holding some kind of vibration, and this is leading to that experience that I had, but this was like yeah, month before that or something. Yes, around month, and so it was before Christmas that this comet was passing by our, trajectory of Earth, and was supposed to go around Sun, but it dissolved, and I was feeling this comet so strong that it was insane. Like the levels of love and unconditional love that I was feeling in my heart, and upgrades, or I don't know if I would call it upgrades or so, yeah, probably, but I was so strongly connected with it that it was hard for me to handle it. Like I had so much of like love in my heart that I needed to project it towards other people, and I had a roommate at the time in a dorm, and she was having usually like a nightmares, but I just couldn't hold myself from loving her and projecting that I was so strongly feeling my heart for, and it was really getting stronger and stronger as that comment was reaching our sun, and she was having even more nightmares when I was doing this, and I couldn't sleep. So once I decided, okay, I also couldn't sleep, so I was like, okay, I need to leave the room for night, and so she could sleep, because I was thinking that probably I was making it worse with my presence of that high vibrations and energies of love that was there, because yeah, if she was also kind of like um, on that path of, I would say, ascension, or let's say, although she was not focusing on it that consciously, but that's why she was also having nightmares, like she was not maybe doing inner work or dealing with whatever this was bringing up, and it was amplifying still. So one night I decided to even go in my pyjama. I was just walking in a dorm at night, and really, I just couldn't sleep. So I was just enjoying my lucid moments with like my normal reality during the night in dorms. And So when it was interesting, like it was really really strong, as I was saying already, that love, high vibration love in my heart. And when that comet was passing on the sun, there was a moment when we couldn't see it. So, and it was a gap of like a 2 hours, 2 hour window when we couldn't see like if it would dissolve or something. And during that, like in the middle of it, I felt like immediately drop. And I knew at this, like I was so like loving and in really in a blissful state. And suddenly from one moment to another, I was like, and I was like, yeah, comedy is dead. So and we still didn't see it, so we needed to wait, or I was watching it, and after like hour or so, we knew that yeah, comet would be already visible, but it was not, and some just pieces were visible. But what this caused was also that the comet was leaving tail behind it. And how interesting it was that the tail was exactly on the trajectory of Earth, that Earth reached the tail, or what it left behind. I think it was around 13 January, so like let's say 2 or 3 weeks after you know comet dissolved. And I realized it later that it was actually at that time when Earth was passing through that cloud of what comet left behind, that I had this experience. So I feel like it was triggered, or yeah, just this allowed it to happen. So yeah, I was having like lucid dreams, or like partially lucid, and obese, that kind of stuff for like a long time already. But this one experience was very interesting. Like, so I was dreaming, and I was dreaming that I was sleeping basically, and I was partially aware, like when you were trying to fall asleep, but you are still partially awake, and know like something is going on, but you are not just paying attention. So that was my state in a dream. And then I felt like my sister was there with me, uh, laying next to me. But yeah, I now know that when I feel like it's my sister, it's basically Shayla. And then my mother came. Like it was, I knew like it was night. It was like 2 a.m. or something. Not in a real terms of time, but in the dream, that felt like it was not 1 or 2 a.m. And she came from somewhere and was telling like sun is shining outside and blah blah. So like what? It's nonsensical because it's night, and that's what woke me up. It was logical thing that triggered my mind and woke me up. Like I wanted to explain to her, no, it's bullshit. It cannot be like sun shining outside. But then when I woke up from the dream, or in a dream, then I was like, okay, if she's saying, I started to always already feel like, okay, this has something to do with it is again. And so I was walking. It was also happening in the flat where I was like living most of my life. Again, like I dream about that place like almost every night, I guess. And So I was walking into the kitchen, but at the same time I was kind of like seeing like walls were transparent, or I could see just outside, like almost like a walls wasn't there at certain area. And I was seeing basically outside where I shouldn't be able to see normally. And I saw that yes, there were clouds, and like above them or somewhere was some source of light and shining, like I saw rays of light. And I was thinking like, okay, this cannot be sun because it's on the north, and I live in on a north hemisphere, so sun is always on the south. you know. And so I was thinking like this cannot be sun, and I was already having that idea of like extraterrestrials, that it's not sun, it's them or something. Something is happening. So I walk into the kitchen and was standing in front of our window, and then yeah, no, it didn't happen immediately. Well, I was walking into the kitchen, and then also through the wall I saw like from behind the hill came out sun, like, but it was like a very strong reflector. It was not sun, it was also bigger than normally sun is, and so on, and was shining into me, into my eyes and so on. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely not sun again. And so I was sure that those are it. So my excitement was also rising, because I was also like very lucid, you know. But again, this was not as physical as the experience that I was describing yesterday, because you know, as I was saying, I was seeing through walls, for example, or I could have different like point of views, and my body also wasn't feeling that solid as like normally it does. And so yeah, it was just like some lucid astral experience. And so I walked, then I walked to a window, and as soon as I did it, there are like the other houses, like a flat, houses, block of flats, I think is the word for it. And so from behind them, it's like higher buildings. Flew one UFO, you know, above it, from behind it. So I was like, okay, yes, those are it is. And then another immediately on from behind the second one, and they were also like into purple and light shapes, but also kind of like metallic and but shining also. Um, so it reminded me some pictures also afterwards I seen a little bit, and then it was like immediately like this one raised, and I saw it, I was like, yeah. And so I had positive reactions, and then another one, and then some ET appeared just in front of my window, and it was in scaphandar, so yeah, okay. And it looked kind of strange. It was, I don't know, like almost like some baby gray or Sasani alien or something. It looked too much as a baby or something. But I felt like it was yeah, definitely some hybrid. And so yeah, also what I was seeing was some kind of like a manipulated, filtered and so on. And then I I was really excited, and I thought like, this is amazing that this is happening consciously to me. And it was first time, yeah, this happened to me like this. And I of course wished for something like that to happen already. And also around that time I was more into Bashar, and so I was watching him, I guess a lot, or more. And so yeah, I was aligned with those energies, let's say. And then I stepped back in a way, and I wanted to ground myself before we would proceed into whatever was next. And I was like, yeah, just calm down and ground. So I was trying to ground for, I don't know, 2 seconds probably, and then I said, okay, I am ready. And what happened afterwards was like, yeah, this never happened to me. Like when I am like before. Although I had experiences later that's something similar happens to me, or I got used to that sensation. But you know, when you are lucid dreaming or yeah, projecting or whatever, you are always kind of like doing those motions and everything with your mind, with your own decisions, like in a normal reality. And now imagine that without any of your like initial, you know, thought, something would move you. So I got pulled like immediately. As I said, I almost didn't finish the words, but it was the thought that okay, I am ready. And immediately they like sucked me out of the kitchen, and I was hanging in the space I mean in the air, like in front of our house, so it was like a deep under me, like a floor ground was very deep under me, several meters. So and my body started to vibrate, not just uh, that astral body, but I believe already I started to feel my physical body was vibrating or something. And then I was hanging up and there, like maybe for a second again, like a second or two, and then immediately like they started to pull me again, like towards the sky. And so and again it was shocking to me because it was not my conscious choice, and the pulling was like really strong. And as they started to pull me towards sky, I also got to the point where I saw, like the previous, like I was saying, like my mother came in and it was saying that there was a sun shining outside. I saw like what it was like egg shaped, like really big starship, and was shining like a lot of light from it, and that was a source of light. And then like I was trying as hard as I could, like to just relax, but the vibrations were so strong that I felt like I fell from there, like into my body really. And my body was so vibrating, it was insane, and I was really shaky and just vibrating, but I was so excited and I was like, what am I doing? So I so those vibrations that I was feeling, I felt like it was, I was not used to it. It was something that I need to experience to let my body to adjust energetically and so on. And some weeks later I had a similar experience, although that I just again I was at home. I again felt my sister, but not physically present, but I was like talking with her, and I knew like even back then, like it wasn't my sister. Even when I was feeling into it, it was something else, but felt like her. I was thinking maybe some kind of like a higher aspect, non-physical aspect of her or something in that sense. But it was most likely Shayla's energy, and my consciousness is many times still her subconsciousness is translating her to be in the role of my sister in my dreams. Sometimes something else, but quite a lot of times it is her. And so I had another experience that I was again like it was night looking into sky. I don't know if I think I saw again, because it was 2014, like in the beginning 2014, so it was quite a long time ago. But I saw some UFOs again, and then I appeared like on one of them. So there was no sensation of pulling me or anything, being conscious of that skipping. But when I got there, I was in the ship. I was seeing in some small like room on the edge of whatever ship, and I was seeing outside like a universe and stuff. And I was again feeling those vibrations, but they were not so intense that it would unground me and pull me back to body. So then again, I was still feeling like a presence of my sister there, like that energy that kind of like is supportive, whatever. And then I tried to focus on grounding, but I felt like I couldn't ground more than I was, which I wasn't that much, but so I walked towards the door that I decided to go like more inside, and there was this space like again it's hangar. I didn't check the word from yesterday if it's an English word, but something where like spaceships come and land, and there were also like a group of people like that came there. I thought they could have been humans or also like with extraterrestrials, and they were like waiting on something in the line. And so I felt like I was supposed to go there as well to wait for something, and there was a Spock, greeting me with that thing, sorry, like, and that phrase that he says, and something with the live long and prosper or something like that. And it was funny, and then I lost that experience, so it again like pulled me back. So those experiences were interesting, because what I wanted to say also with this, that there is a certain progression, and with experiences how much I can handle and so on. And when I look back at that experience that I had yesterday, mm, yeah, I definitely feel like there is quite a huge difference in how I am able to process that experience energetically. So, for example, that moment when I was telling that he kind of like pinned me to himself, and we had that experience of teleporting. I believe it was the same thing, or sensation, same thing, same way of doing it as in this first dream that I was describing, where I was vibrating and I couldn't hold her, and it just sucked me back into my body. And to compare those two sensations of how I am able to transition or teleport, it's like no issue. Like my whole body can really, without any problems with him, like how he helped me, how he teleported me with himself, like there was absolutely no issue, no vibrations. And so yeah, we just also need some kind of like time, some time to let these things like work, because we have energetic experience. That energy needs to be integrated, you have to adjust and so on. It naturally happens. So that's why I wanted to speak about this experience that I had 6 years ago. Yeah, 6. So you see, it's not like that I have these experiences out of nowhere. So, and I had many other energetic experiences also, like not in just sleeping state, and some of them were very intense and difficult, and challenging also afterwards, because it may trigger you to clean not resonating stuff out of you. So it's not easy. So yeah, I guess for those who are maybe jealous or would like to have more, like, you have to also be aware that this is not just you get experience. This was also my naivety before, like, this big shift started to happen at the end of 2012. It was gradually starting, of course, before, but bigger jumps started for me in the beginning of 2013, really. And I was just looking forward that time, because I was thinking, yeah, my whole chakra system, like all chakras will activate, and it would be easy. I would be like, God, I would be amazing, happy, or whatever. And I was just absolutely not realizing or imagining how actually that would be challenging to, yeah, like that part of how much it would you would need to change, like that awareness of change needed, how it would change you, bring stuff out of you that is not in alignment with it, and so on. So this has also, let's say, more negative part into it, like you get something that you want, in this sense, like energetic and so on, but there will be some consequences, let's say consequences to it, uh, which are always great. But when you are for months in those states, well, of course, like, you feel like you don't want it. And I had so many, stages, like I was struggling for months. I don't know, like, yeah, it's always like loops, like I get the experience. So it's really hard to say, like, after this experience I had then several months of like integration or something, because something is always happening in between. But I had these moments, like when I suddenly probably integrated all of it, and I suddenly felt so blissful and amazing, and I was like, yeah, it was so worth it, like, to go through all that shit. And I was like, I want more. And then another stage, like, I was like, why did I wish that, why did I wish to want more? So that's why I guess I am not wishing more usually. Well, in some way, yeah, I do, but in a certain ways, not those other ways. So yeah, you are naturally, I guess, with your desires, making it graduate, uh, gradual. I mean, so um, I don't know, like you definitely can trigger experiences with like a true wish to move forward, to experience more, and to grow, to activate their potential, and this kind of stuff. It always works, in my opinion. But if it's coming from like really your desire, like inner, not like some kind of egoistic, probably, because it's all about vibrations and real intent, like what is behind it. So I don't know, like if you don't have, so yeah, for example, if you don't have, I know some people that would like to, but they're, for example, very negative, very close-minded, and they are not willing to even think that they should change in whatever way, in some ways, or to reflect on themselves, reflect on how they are thinking, how they are behaving, maybe. And if you are not willing to look at those things, like you will not get, I believe, or probably you will not get more or new stuff, if you are not willing to really move forward in some way and work with those things. Well, for some people, yeah, they are challenged that it happens no matter what, but then it's their choice, and it's also hard for them if it's basically they are pushing themselves, like with their spiritual evolution, that they have no choice but integrating, and that is not that much like maybe what you also would wish to have. So everything is challenging, even when someone has like amazing experiences, it's amazing, but it always has a price, and really high price, let's say. But still, it's amazing. I'm not complaining, I mean, about these experiences. Uh, because I know, like, even when it's very, very hard, like in my connection with Shayla, like how I desire for us to be at some point maybe together or whatever. Um, but I know that I I found like a real reason why I'm here, basically. So um, I cannot do else, in that sense. So either I would give up completely, or I would just fall, and do my best in whatever way to manage it, like through my own growth, through my own healing, and how I am how I am going about life, and so on. So all things are important to align or with the alignment. So yeah, I wanted to talk about just about dream, that one dream, but this is what it's ended up to be. So I don't know. I hope it somehow helps you with some questions that you had, or I don't know. You can always ask me in the comments if whatever I said inspired you in some way, and I will do my best to answer and reflect on it in some way that could be maybe again in some other ways insightful. So you can comment, and I will most likely answer if it's, of course, something that I can help with, or I'm feeling drawn or pulled that I can help. So bye, until next time. Bye.